All right, welcome into module two. This is the second piece of the romantic relationships framework. We just talked about tolerance, and we talked about how much you tolerate and how you shouldn't have to have a high tolerance for the relationships it is that you're in. Okay. This module, we're talking about attachment, getting attached to someone's potential and the need and how you become a trap for that. And again, I realized too that I talk so much about this in my book. I think it was when I was writing that chapter was how I figured out that this was the actual like framework that I followed, or these were the signs that showed up to me. Okay. We are looking at one of the biggest emotional traps in love in this module, and it's you're getting attached to that person's potential and you're getting attached to your need to be needed. Okay. This one was huge for me, and I think that's why it came up here. So let's start with potential. Many of us don't fall in love with the person that's in front of us, right? Not exactly where they are right now. We fall in love with their potential, with their possibility, with their blueprint, with their if only type of person, right? But for you, you might not be. I'm a life coach in a sense, but you are not a life coach, and it is not your responsibility to life coach your partner. Okay. You are not a mission director. You are not a therapist in your romantic relationships. You are a partner, or at least you should be. When we build the entire relationship around helping someone become, we stop noticing who they are. When we help someone, start helping them become someone, we stop noticing who they are. That's really important for you to remember and we do this because we love their potential, but because also we crave being needed. We get something out of being the one who saves, who rescues, who fixes, who heals, who guides, who provides clarity, right? And if you can fall in love with someone's potential and you love to be needed, you think if I mirror this person's potential to them, they will see me as the one who can help them reach it. They will need me. They will never leave me. But then when you put yourself in that position, now they need you, right? But then now what? They're abusing you because they're running all over you. And now what? Your tolerance level for pain has had to go up, right? You see how it's connected? And being needed, this is where it flips on you, is when someone needs you too much, you then also begin to lose yourself. Not only does your tolerance for pain and abuse have to go up, but then you lose who you are. There was a point in all of my relationships up until I met my husband where I felt like I was sacrificing everything I wanted just to keep the peace, just to make sure that that person didn't fall apart because they needed me to be the one to walk them through to their potential. Neediness feels like love when you've been raised to earn your worth, which is something that patriarchy and capitalism teaches us. But over time, it becomes emotional suffocation. You can't breathe. You can't dream. You're shrinking again and again and again. But at this time, it's in the name of devotion to somebody else. For me, it got to the point where I was like, wait a minute. When do I get something that I want? When do my needs get met? I'm constantly giving for somebody else, and I'm giving to somebody else because I got so attached to their potential. I got so attached to being needed. And it's funny too, because for me, like with my husband, he told me like early on in our relationship, like, I don't need you. And at first I was offended by that. I was like, what the fuck do you mean you don't need me? Like, I see your potential. What do you mean you don't need me? He did me the biggest favor because my prior relationships, these boys needing me, it's what was draining me. But it's what I thought love was being needed by your spouse. My husband can change his mind at any time. If he don't want me anymore, he don't have to have me no more. And I used to see that as an easy way to be disregarded. But that's how it should be in your romantic relationships. When a person becomes so codependent on you and so reliant on you, it's just not how love is supposed to be. It transforms into this disgusting codependency, and it's less about romantic love and how you feel and more about what that person can do for you or what you can do for that person. Okay? So At these times where you're feeling like, what do I get? Where's the thing that I deserve? Right? This is where you have to check the emotional economics, if you will, of the relationship. Are you constantly giving and rarely receiving? Is there balance there? Are your needs postponed for their healing? Are they always the one going through something and you never have a chance to go through anything? Have you confused being a safe space with being someone's entire identity? Right? Does this person identify themselves as the person that, you always are needed by them? Is their entire identity being in a relationship with you? And the final realization, right, is needing me is not the same thing as loving me. When I stepped out of those relationships, the ones that built on their dependence on me, they were actually forced to grow. When I stepped away and stopped giving them access to me, that was when they actually did better. Not when I stayed, but when I left, when I denied them that codependency and that excuse to rely on somebody and take instead of taking radical responsibility for what they needed to change. So let this be your check-in. Am I here in this relationship because I feel empowered, supported, seen? Or am I here because someone relies on me for their emotional oxygen? Am I just an emotional oxygen tank that they take with me into the depths of the ocean and the pressure is too much? And most importantly, would I still be here if I didn't feel responsible for this person's growth? Huge, huge question. Okay. So, your homework for this module before you go into module 3 is write down 3 ways you've served as an emotional crutch in a past relationship. I told you it was my first relationship. Honestly, it was all my relationships before I met Aaron. List the costs of that role to your energy, your dreams, your voice, your money. What is it costing you? And ask yourself, what would a relationship look like if I was chosen, not needed? These are big, huge, huge questions. All right, do that before we move on to the last module, module 3, identity.